Have you ever looked back at a decision and wondered, what was I thinking? Maybe you bought something you didn't need. Maybe you ignored an obvious warning sign. Maybe you stayed committed to a plan that wasn't working. What's surprising is that these mistakes aren't limited to inexperienced people. In fact, intelligence alone does not protect us from poor decisions. Some of the smartest people in the world make costly financial mistakes, stay in unhealthy relationships, fall for misinformation, and make decisions they later regret. Why? According to psychology and behavioral science, the problem isn't usually a lack of intelligence. It's the way the human mind processes information. Today, we'll explore why smart people keep making bad decisions, the hidden mental shortcuts that affect all of us, and what research suggests we can do to make better choices in everyday life. Welcome to Better by Science. Intelligence doesn't eliminate bias. Many people assume that smarter individuals make better decisions. That seems reasonable. After all, intelligence helps us solve problems, understand complexity, and learn new information. But decades of psychological research suggest something important: being intelligent and thinking rationally are not the same thing. Researchers have found that cognitive biases affect people across all levels of education and intelligence. Sometimes intelligence can even make things worse. Why? Because intelligent people are often better at justifying their existing beliefs. Instead of using their reasoning abilities to discover the truth, they may unconsciously use them to defend conclusions they've already reached. Psychologists sometimes refer to this as motivated reasoning. Rather than asking, "What's true?" our brains often ask, "How can I support what I already believe?" This tendency affects everyone. Scientists, business leaders, politicians, students, and ordinary people making everyday decisions. The challenge isn't that we're irrational all the time. The challenge is that our minds contain predictable blind spots. Let's look at some of the most common ones. Common biases that affect smart people. 1. Confirmation bias. Imagine you're thinking about buying a new phone. Once you start leaning toward one option, you naturally begin noticing positive reviews and opinions that support your choice. At the same time, negative information may seem less important. Psychologists call this confirmation bias, our tendency to favor information that supports what we already believe. A useful question to ask yourself is, what evidence would change my mind? That simple question can help you think more objectively. 2. The sunk cost fallacy. Have you ever continued with something simply because you've already invested so much into it? Maybe it's a project, a relationship, or even a purchase. This is known as the sunk cost fallacy. We keep investing because we don't want our previous effort to feel wasted. But past investments cannot be recovered. A better question is, if I were starting today, would I still choose this? Often, that leads to a clearer decision. 3. Overconfidence. Research shows that people frequently overestimate their knowledge, abilities, and predictions. This doesn't mean confidence is bad. Confidence can be helpful. The problem appears when confidence becomes greater than accuracy. Overconfidence can lead us to underestimate risks, ignore advice, and make overly optimistic plans. One simple way to improve judgment is to write down important predictions and check them later. Doing so helps align confidence with reality. 4. Availability bias. Our brains often judge how common something is based on how easily we can remember examples. This is called availability bias. For example, after hearing several news stories about a rare event, it can suddenly feel much more likely than it really is. The problem is that memorable events are not always common events. When making important decisions, it's often helpful to look at actual evidence rather than relying solely on what comes most easily to mind. These biases affect everyone, regardless of intelligence. The goal isn't to eliminate them completely. It's to recognize them when they appear and make decisions a little more carefully. Why these biases exist? At this point, you might wonder, why would the brain work this way? If these biases create mistakes, why haven't we evolved beyond them? The answer is efficiency. The human brain processes enormous amounts of information every day. To handle this complexity, it relies on shortcuts known as heuristics. These mental shortcuts often work well. They allow us to make quick decisions without analyzing every detail. Most of the time, that's useful. The problem is that shortcuts can produce systematic errors. The same mental processes that help us navigate daily life can occasionally mislead us. In other words, cognitive biases are not signs of stupidity. They are side effects of a brain designed for speed and efficiency. Understanding this helps us become more aware of our own thinking. How to make better decisions. The good news is that research suggests we can improve decision-making. Not by eliminating biases completely. That's probably impossible. But by creating systems that reduce their influence. Here are 4 practical strategies. 1. Slow down important decisions. Many poor decisions happen when we're rushed, emotional, tired, or stressed. Whenever possible, create distance between the decision and the action. Sleep on major choices. Review them the next day. A small delay often leads to better judgment. 2. Seek disconfirming evidence. Instead of asking, "Why am I right?" ask, "What might I be missing?" Actively looking for opposing viewpoints can reduce confirmation bias and reveal blind spots. 3. Separate ego from decisions. People often defend decisions because they feel personally attached to them. Remember, changing your mind is not failure. It's a sign that you've updated your understanding based on new information. Good decision-makers are willing to revise their conclusions. 4. Use checklists and systems. Pilots, surgeons, and other professionals frequently rely on checklists. Not because they lack intelligence, but because human memory and attention are imperfect. Simple decision frameworks can prevent avoidable mistakes. Sometimes a good system beats raw intelligence. Final thoughts. One of the most important lessons from psychology is this: making bad decisions doesn't mean you're unintelligent. It means you're human. We all rely on mental shortcuts. We all have blind spots. And we all make mistakes in judgment from time to time. The goal isn't to think perfectly. The goal is to become more aware of how our minds work. Because when we recognize these hidden biases, we give ourselves a better chance of making wiser choices. And over time, small improvements in decision-making can lead to meaningful improvements in life. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to Better by Science for more evidence-based insights from psychology, neuroscience, and behavioral science. And before you go, here's a question: which cognitive bias do you think affects your decisions the most? Let us know in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.